I didn't expect her to change my life. Like this didn't meet her looking for transformation. I wasn't searching for a turning point. I wasn't waiting for a revelation. I wasn't standing at the edge of some dramatic life shift. I was fine, steady, focused, contained. That's the part that surprises me most. She didn't arrive in chaos. She arrived in calm, and somehow that's what changed everything. At first, nothing felt monumental. We talked, we laughed, we exchanged stories the way two people do when curiosity feels natural. There was no lightning strike, no overwhelming moment where I thought, this is it. It was quieter than that, subtle, almost ordinary. And that's why I didn't see it coming. Change doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it settles in slowly, like warmth spreading across a room without you noticing the temperature rise. That's what she did. She didn't disrupt my life. She rearranged it. Before her, I moved through days with a kind of efficiency. My goals were clear. My schedule was structured. My emotions were managed. I valued control. Control over my time. Control over my investment. Control over how deeply I allowed myself to feel. And then she stepped into my life. Not demanding anything, just being herself. Steady. Grounded. Intentional. And I started noticing something unfamiliar. I was softer. Not weaker. Softer. I listened differently. I paused more often. I found myself thinking about how my actions affected someone else in a way that felt intentional, not obligatory. It wasn't pressure. It was awareness. And awareness changes you. She didn't push me to open up. She didn't interrogate my past or rush my future. She just held space. And when someone holds space without expectation, you start filling it naturally. I told her things I hadn't said out loud before. Not dramatic confessions. Just small truths. The kind that reveal the way you think. The way you doubt. The way you hope. And instead of reacting, she received. That reception shifted something inside me. I realized how rare it is to feel understood without having to perform understanding. I didn't need to exaggerate who I was. I didn't need to shrink either. I could just exist fully. That's when I began to notice the changes. I was more patient, more reflective, less reactive. I didn't rush through conversations. I didn't rush through moments. I didn't rush through her. Before her, I measured connection by intensity, by spark, by momentum. But she changed my definition. Connection became steadiness, consistency, depth without drama. I didn't expect that to matter as much as it does. I didn't expect calm to feel transformative. But calm, when it's real, rewires you. She made me question my patterns, not by confronting them, by contrasting them. Her steadiness highlighted my instinct to retreat. Her openness highlighted my tendency to guard. Her clarity highlighted my habit of calculation. And slowly, I started letting go of calculation, not because she demanded it, because I wanted to meet her where she stood. That's the shift. She didn't change my life by altering my routine. She changed my life by changing my posture. I used to approach relationships cautiously, almost academically, observing compatibility, testing emotional balance, evaluating risk. Now I approach with participation, not reckless, but present. Presence is transformative because when you're fully present, you can't hide behind potential. You have to live in reality, and reality with her feels grounding. I didn't expect to care about someone's well-being the way I care about hers. Not in a possessive way, in a protective way, not protective from others, protective of what we're building. She changed how I think about time. Time used to feel abundant, flexible, expandable. Now it feels intentional. I want to spend it well, with purpose, with her. I didn't expect to imagine future versions of myself that include someone else so clearly. Not fantasy, alignment. She didn't alter my ambitions. She sharpened them. Because now my goals include not just success, but stability. Not just achievement, but shared growth. There's also something humbling about how she changed me. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't through conflict. It wasn't through force. It was through consistency. Consistency is powerful. It builds trust quietly. It dismantles defenses slowly. It reshapes habits without announcement. I didn't expect to become more emotionally articulate, but I have. I didn't expect to feel comfortable admitting fear, but I do. I didn't expect to prioritize communication over control, but I choose it. She didn't ask me to change. She made change feel natural. And natural change lasts. I look at myself now, compared to before her. I'm steadier, more intentional, less reactive, more open. That's life-changing, not in fireworks. In foundation, I didn't expect her to change my life like this. I thought at most she would be meaningful, important, maybe even lasting. But I didn't anticipate transformation. Transformation doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like small habits shifting, like choosing patience instead of pride, like choosing vulnerability instead of distance, like choosing growth instead of control. She didn't take anything from me. She expanded me, expanded my capacity to feel, to stay, to invest. And now when I think about life without her influence, it feels narrower, not empty, just smaller. I didn't expect her to change my life, but she did, not by demanding space, by earning it. And the most surprising part, I'm grateful, not just for her, but for who I'm becoming because she's here. The quiet shifts I didn't see coming. I used to think life-changing moments were allowed. Career breakthroughs, sudden decisions, major risks. I thought change arrived with disruption. But what she did was quieter than that. She didn't interrupt my life. She integrated into it, and somehow that integration rewired everything. Before her, my days were structured around momentum. Move forward, improve, build, achieve. There was nothing wrong with that rhythm. It kept me sharp, focused, independent. But it was linear, straight lines, clear objectives, minimal emotional detours. Then she entered the picture, not as a distraction, but as depth. And depth doesn't move in straight lines. It expands outward. I began noticing how my priorities subtly shifted, not away from ambition, but toward balance. I didn't want to just succeed. I wanted to share. That was new. I used to compartmentalize emotion. Work in one space, personal life in another, inner world managed privately. But she blurred those boundaries, not in a chaotic way, in a cohesive way. I started thinking about how my choices impacted more than just my own trajectory. If I stayed late working, I wondered how it affected shared time. If I made plans, I considered how they aligned with her rhythms, not out of obligation, out of intention. Intention changes the quality of attention. Before her, my attention was efficient. After her, it became attentive. Attentiveness is different. It notices tone shifts. It remembers small details. It anticipates emotional needs without being told. I didn't expect to care about those nuances, but I do. And caring about nuance makes you more human. She also shifted the way I respond to conflict. Before, my instinct was analysis, problem solving, logical dissection. Now, I pause first. I ask how something feels before I try to fix it. That shift alone has changed how I communicate, not just with her, but with everyone. She didn't lecture me about emotional intelligence. She embodied it. And being around that embodiment naturally invited growth. I used to believe vulnerability was something you rationed, shared strategically, measured carefully. Now I see it differently. Vulnerability is relational currency. It builds connection. It invites trust. And she made vulnerability feel safe. Safety is transformative. When you feel safe, you stop performing. You stop calculating your responses. You stop editing your depth. I've caught myself saying things I would have filtered before. Admitting fears without buffering them with humor. Expressing uncertainty without disguising it as indifference. That's not weakness. That's alignment. Alignment feels lighter than control. Control is heavy. It requires constant vigilance. Alignment simply asks for honesty. She also changed how I think about time. Before, time was something to optimize. Now it's something to savor. Conversations don't feel like checkpoints. They feel like presence. Moments don't feel like stepping stones. They feel like substance. I didn't expect someone to change my relationship with time, but she did. Because when something feels meaningful, you stop rushing through it. There's also the way she changed my internal dialogue. I used to default to independence. I can handle this alone. I don't need help. I'll figure it out. Now, I think differently. What if I share this? What if I let her in? What if we figure it out together? That shift from singular to shared is subtle, but it's life-changing because it alters how you carry weight. Weight shared feels lighter, not because it disappears, because it's witnessed. She didn't reduce my challenges, she changed how I experience them. I don't feel isolated in difficulty anymore. I feel supported, even when I don't explicitly ask for support. That's transformative. I've also noticed how my confidence evolved. not louder. Not more assertive, more grounded. Confidence rooted in authenticity instead of performance. I don't feel the need to impress her. I feel the desire to be real with her. That's different. Impressing seeks validation. Authenticity seeks connection. And connection sustains longer. I didn't expect her to challenge my ego gently, but she did. Her steadiness makes defensiveness feel unnecessary. Her clarity makes posturing feel immature. Her patience makes urgency feel misplaced. She didn't ask me to grow. She created an environment where growth felt natural. That's rare. Growth forced rarely lasts. Growth invited tends to stay. I think about who I was before her. Capable, focused, self-sufficient. And I still am those things, but now I'm also softer, more reflective, more collaborative. She didn't take away my independence. She expanded it. Because independence that includes connection is stronger than independence that excludes it. I didn't expect her to change my life like this. Not because she demanded change, because she revealed parts of me I hadn't exercised fully. Patience, emotional articulation, shared planning, long-term thinking that includes someone else. I used to envision the future as a personal trajectory. Now I envision it as a shared landscape, not dependent, interdependent. Interdependence isn't weakness. It's maturity. It's recognizing that growth can be mutual, that ambition doesn't have to be solitary, that stability can coexist with depth. She changed my life, not through dramatic gestures, but through presence, through consistency, through emotional steadiness, through being someone worth growing beside. And the most unexpected part, I didn't resist it. I welcomed it. Because it didn't feel like losing myself. It felt like becoming more fully myself. That's what I didn't expect. I thought love would compromise something. Instead, it refined something. It sharpened intention, deepened awareness, expanded capacity. I didn't expect her to change my life. But she did, in quiet shifts, in steady growth, in small adjustments that accumulated into transformation. And now, when I look ahead, I don't just see my own path. I see the possibility of building something intentional, something steady, something real. And that possibility doesn't scare me. It motivates me. Because the version of me I'm becoming with her in my life, he's stronger. Not because he stands alone, because he chooses to stand with someone. The man I'm becoming because she's here. I've been thinking a lot about identity lately. Not in the abstract way, not philosophically, but practically. Who am I becoming because she's in my life? That question feels more important than whether this lasts forever. Because regardless of outcome, growth leaves its imprint. Before her, I was comfortable being self-contained. I handled my stress internally, processed my doubts privately, made decisions independently. There was strength in that. But there was also isolation disguised as resilience. I didn't notice it at the time. It felt normal. It felt efficient. Then she entered the picture, not forcefully, not dramatically. And slowly, that self-containment started to loosen. Not collapse, loosen. I found myself wanting to share thoughts before I fully understood them. Wanting her perspective before I finalized decisions. Wanting her presence not as decoration, but as integration. That shift alone is transformative, because it means I'm no longer navigating life as a solo act. I'm considering partnership as strength. She didn't demand inclusion. She earned it. Through consistency. Through emotional steadiness. Through a kind of quiet integrity that makes you trust her without effort. Trust is transformative. When you trust someone deeply, you stop guarding your edges so tightly. You stop bracing for disappointment. You stop rehearsing exits in your head. And that's what changed in me. I stopped rehearsing exits. I started imagining continuity. Not fantasy, not forced permanence. Continuity. I began thinking beyond short-term chemistry, beyond compatibility and conversation. I started thinking about alignment in values. Alignment in how we handle pressure. Alignment in how we repair conflict. That level of thinking requires maturity, and she brought it up in me. I used to be reactive in subtle ways. If something felt off, I would pull back. If I sensed imbalance, I would create distance. If vulnerability increased, I would slow down. Now I pause. I ask questions instead of assuming. I lean in instead of stepping back. That shift is not small. It's the difference between defensive love and intentional love. Intentional love isn't dramatic. It's patient. It's consistent. It's willing to clarify instead of retreat. She made me want to clarify, to stay in conversations even when they're layered, to express discomfort instead of silently evaluating it, to build instead of analyze. Analyze is what I used to do best. Observe patterns, predict outcomes, anticipate risks, but prediction can limit experience. Experience requires presence. She brings me to presence. When I'm with her, I'm not scanning the future, I'm in the moment. And that presence carries into other parts of my life. I'm less rushed, less reactive, less concerned with controlling every variable. I didn't expect that kind of emotional drowning, but I value it deeply now. She also changed how I see vulnerability in myself. Before, vulnerability was something I offer carefully. Now, it feels collaborative, shared, not one-sided, not transactional. There's safety in knowing that if I reveal uncertainty, she won't weaponize it. If I admit fear, she won't diminish it. If I express doubt, she won't retreat. That safety encourages depth, it encourages growth, and growth reshapes identity. I become more patient, more deliberate, more aware of emotional nuance, not because she demanded it, because being around her made those qualities feel natural. I've also become more protective, not possessively, but intentionally. Protective of the time we share, protective of the honesty between us, protective of the foundation we're building. Foundation matters more to me now than excitement. Excitement is temporary. Foundation is sustainable. She changed my relationship with sustainability. In love, in conversation, in effort. Effort no longer feels like obligation, it feels meaningful. Texting back thoughtfully, showing up on time, listening without interruption. Those things feel significant now. They always mattered. I just didn't see them as transformative before. Transformation doesn't always come through crisis. Sometimes it comes through consistency. And consistency is what she brings. Steady energy, predictable care, reliable presence. That reliability makes me want to match it, to be dependable, to be clear, to be someone she can lean on without second guessing. That desire changes you. You start evaluating your own habits differently. You question impulsiveness, you refine communication, you hold yourself accountable in subtle ways. She didn't lecture me into growth. She modeled it. And modeling is more powerful than instruction. I didn't expect her to change my life. But she did, by changing how I move, how I speak, how I think, how I plan. I think long-term meant career milestones, financial stability, personal achievements. Now long-term includes shared peace, shared laughter, shared quiet. That inclusion expands vision. It deepens ambition. It grounds dreams. I'm not losing independence. I'm redefining it. Independence doesn't mean isolation. It means choosing partnership without losing identity. And that's what this feels like. Choice. Not dependence, not necessity. Choice. I choose to show up. I choose to communicate. I choose to grow alongside her. And in choosing that, I've grown already. More emotionally articulate, more comfortable with depth, more aligned with the version of myself I respect. I didn't expect her to change my life like this, but she did. Not by interrupting it, but integrating into it. Not by demanding transformation, by inspiring it. And the most powerful part, I don't feel like someone new. I feel like someone fuller, more complete, more balanced, more aware. She didn't change who I am. She revealed who I could be. And that revelation is what makes this feel life-changing. The life I'm willing to build. Now there's a quiet realization that happens when change stops feeling temporary. At first, I thought the shifts inside me were situational, a phase, a response to something new. But now I understand something deeper. This isn't a phase, this is expansion. And expansion doesn't shrink back easily. Before her, I was building a life designed around control, clear goals, defined timelines, measured risk. Everything had structure. Structure felt safe, predictable, efficient. But structure without softness becomes rigid. And rigidity leaves little room for shared growth. She didn't dismantle my structure, she humanized it. She introduced flexibility, space for pauses, room for emotion, allowance for collaboration. I didn't expect to care about shared decision-making the way I do now. Before I made choices and informed people after. Now I consider. Not because I have to, because I want to. That shift alone changes how life unfolds. I think about future plans differently, not in grand, dramatic visions, in subtle integration. Where would she fit? How would this decision impact us? What kind of rhythm would support both of us? These questions don't feel restrictive, they feel intentional. And intention feels mature. She also changed how I define success. Success used to be individual milestones, accomplishments I could measure, recognition I could quantify. Now success includes emotional steadiness, communication that feels honest, conflict handled without ego. That's a different kind of achievement, one that doesn't show up on paper, but shows up in peace. I used to believe peace came from independence, from not needing anyone, from being self-contained. But peace shared feels richer, it feels warmer, it feels sustainable. I didn't expect her to make me reconsider how I experience solitude. I still value alone time. I still need space. But now, solitude isn't isolation. It's balance. Because I know connection waits on the other side of it. That knowledge changes how you carry yourself. You don't brace against the world as much. You don't armor up unnecessarily. You don't interpret vulnerability as danger. She softened my armor. Not by forcing it off, by showing me I didn't need it. There's something profound about feeling safe enough to relax emotionally. It frees mental energy. It increases clarity. It sharpens empathy. Empathy is something I thought I practiced well, but now I practice it differently. I listen not just to respond, but to understand rhythm, tone, subtext. I become more patient in conversations, more comfortable sitting in silence, more aware that resolution doesn't always need urgency. That patience spills into other areas of life, where it feels less frantic, decisions feel less rushed, reactions feel less impulsive. I didn't expect love to influence my professional demeanor, but it has, because when you're grounded emotionally, you operate differently everywhere. She also made me reevaluate fear, not fear of loss, fear of stagnation. Before her, I feared dependency. Now I fear complacency. I don't want to stay emotionally static. I want to grow. And growth requires friction sometimes. Not chaos, not toxicity, but challenge. And I'm less afraid of challenge now, because I've experienced how it feels to navigate tension without losing respect, to disagree without withdrawing, to clarify without escalating. That's maturity. And I didn't learn it alone. I think about how I respond to conflict now. I don't shut down as quickly. I don't withdraw to regain control. I stay engaged. Not aggressively, steadily. Steadiness feels powerful, not dominating, grounded. I didn't expect her presence to change how I handled disagreement, but it did, because I care about preservation more than pride. Pride used to guide my reactions. Now preservation guides them. Preservation of connection, preservation of trust, preservation of clarity. Trust has become central, not blind trust. Earned trust, built through consistency, and consistency feels different now. It's not routine, it's commitment, showing up when it's easy, showing up when it's layered, showing up when it requires effort. Effort doesn't feel heavy anymore, it feels meaningful, because it's shared. I didn't expect her to expand my emotional vocabulary, but she has. I articulate more clearly, I express more honestly, I admit uncertainty more comfortably. That clarity strengthens everything, not just the relationship. My sense of self. There's something else that's changed. I no longer evaluate connection based on intensity. Intensity fades. Stability remains, and I value stability more now. Stability isn't boring. It's secure. It allows exploration without fear. It supports ambition without tension. Should change my perception of what excitement should look like. It's not adrenaline, it's alignment. Alignment is subtle. But when you feel it, you recognize it. Conversations flow naturally. Decisions feel collaborative. Silence feels safe. I didn't expect her to make me reconsider what forever means. Not as a promise, as a possibility. Before, forever felt abstract. Now, it feels imaginable, not because I'm naive, because I'm intentional. Intentional love feels different. It's less impulsive, more grounded, less dramatic, more steady. She didn't just change my life emotionally, she changed the direction of my internal growth. She refined my patience, expanded my empathy, deepened my accountability. And the most surprising part? I didn't resist it. I welcomed it. Because it didn't feel like losing autonomy. It felt like gaining perspective. I didn't expect her to change my life like this, but she did. Through integration, through steadiness, through consistent presence. Now, when I look forward, I don't just see my goals, I see shared plans, shared rhythms, shared growth. And that vision doesn't intimidate me, it motivates me. Because the man I'm becoming alongside her is more balanced, more thoughtful, more emotionally intelligent, more complete. She didn't disrupt my life. She expanded it. And expansion is irreversible. The life I didn't know, I wanted, there's a quiet kind of gratitude that comes when you realize your life shifted without breaking first. No collapse, no crisis, no dramatic turning point, just expansion. And that's what she brought into my world. I didn't expect her to change my life because I didn't think my life needed changing. I was functioning well, productive, focused, independent. But functioning well and living fully are not the same thing. She didn't fix something broken, she revealed something incomplete. Before her, I was building a life that looked solid from the outside. Goals in place, direction clear, stability intact. But there was a subtle emptiness I couldn't name. Not loneliness, not dissatisfaction. Just narrowness, like I had built walls so carefully that I forgot to include windows. She didn't knock the walls down, she opened the windows. And suddenly, air moved differently. I noticed how my mornings changed. I used to wake up thinking about tasks. Now I wake up thinking about connection. Not obsessively. Intentionally. How is she feeling today? What small thing can I do to make her day lighter? How do I show up? Consistency. Consistency is something I've grown to value deeply. Not because it's exciting. Because it's dependable. Dependability is underrated. It builds safety quietly. And safety allows love to grow without fear. She changed how I define strength. Strength used to mean self-sufficiency. Now it means emotional steadiness. Being able to sit in discomfort without withdrawing. Being able to listen without defending. Being able to admit uncertainty without feeling diminished. I didn't expect that shift, but I'm proud of it. There's something transformative about choosing partnership without losing yourself. That balance felt abstract before. Now it feels lived. I don't feel smaller beside her. I feel expanded. Expansion doesn't mean losing individuality. It means integrating it. My ambition still exists. My drive still burns. But now it includes room for shared dreams, shared timelines, shared decisions. I think differently about success now. It's not just what I accomplish. It's what we sustain. It's not just milestones. It's harmony. Harmony isn't flashy. It's quiet alignment. The kind where conversations feel easy but meaningful. The kind where disagreements don't threaten connection. The kind where silence isn't awkward. She didn't change my life through grand gestures. She changed it through repetition. Showing up, listening, staying consistent, offering steadiness. That repetition reshaped my expectations. I no longer chase intensity. I value reliability. I no longer seek constant excitement. I appreciate calm. Calm is powerful. It grounds ambition. It softens ego. It strengthens trust. I didn't expect to become more patient, but I have, not because I'm trying harder, because I care more. When something matters, you treat it carefully. You don't rush it. You don't take it lightly. She also changed how I think about vulnerability. I used to treat it as something reserved for rare moments. Now it feels integrated, part of everyday interaction, sharing doubts, expressing needs, clarifying misunderstandings. Vulnerability doesn't weaken connection, it fortifies it. And I didn't understand that fully until now. There's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you're growing in the right direction. Not because someone demanded it, because someone inspired it. She didn't ask me to evolve, she embodied the qualities that made evolution natural. I'm more emotionally articulate, more self-aware, more willing to communicate before tension builds. Those aren't small shifts, they change everything. I look at my past self, the version of me before her, and I don't see weakness. I see limitation, limited perspective, limited openness, limited willingness to integrate someone fully into my world. Now I integrate, not recklessly, intentionally. I didn't expect to think long term without fear, but I do. Not because I'm certain of every outcome, because I trust the foundation built on clarity, on honesty, on shared values. She changed my life by changing my internal landscape, by softening rigidity, by expanding capacity, by introducing depth without chaos. And the most surprising part, it feels sustainable. Not dramatic, not overwhelming. Sustainable. I don't feel like I'm losing myself. I feel like I'm discovering a fuller version of myself. One that values connection without sacrificing ambition. One that embraces vulnerability without losing composure. One that understands that love isn't about intensity, it's about integration. Integration is powerful. It means my life isn't divided into separate compartments anymore. Work, emotion, connection. They coexist, balanced, aligned. I didn't expect her to change my life like this, but she did. Not with fireworks, with foundation, not with pressure, with presence, not by demanding transformation, by inviting it. And now, when I imagine the future, it doesn't feel like a solitary path. It feels shared, not dependent, collaborative. That collaboration doesn't weaken me, it strengthens me, because I'm not building alone anymore. I'm building alongside someone who steadies me, challenges me gently, expands me naturally. I didn't expect her to change my life, but she did in the most meaningful way possible. She didn't alter my direction. She deepened it. She didn't disrupt my identity. She refined it. She didn't demand space. She earned it. And now I understand something I didn't before. Life-changing love doesn't feel explosive. It feels aligning. It doesn't overwhelm you.